Very quickly, we delve into another conversation right now, and this is about the fuel scarcity, or let's say the long queues that have resurfaced, because we might not be right if we say it's fuel scarcity. Despite the long queues found at filling stations all over the country, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, is said to have a sufficient supply of petroleum products, according to the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN. And to help make sense of this, we still have in the studio with us political technocrat Dr. Dayo Kayode. Thank you for staying with us.
It's my pleasure being here.
All right. So, I mean, it's been in the news since last night that, okay, the challenge here isn't that we don't have the stock. We have the stock. But distribution
is affected by?
But it's affected by, you know,
by what?
Forex and distribution.
Why should Forex, why should dollar affect distribution of petroleum?
That's because the tank farm owners, who get from the mother farm in that sense, have to pay in dollars. Again, to even get your tankers, it's dollarized.
See, it is just fraud upon fraud. Nothing more than that. Okay. You have your fuel. Who owns the fuel? NNPC. NNPC imported those fuel, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Is NNPC not having their tank farms? Mm-hmm. Don't they have arrangement with their tank farms? They have in Massimi, isn't it? They have in Alapa, isn't it? They have in.
But they charge the independent marketers who come to get from the tank farm in dollars.
Listen,
and those ones are saying that they find it difficult to get dollars.
Listen. If not because you want to create problem, have you been charging them in dollars before now?
Well, that seems to be the case.
If you had been charging them in dollars before now, don't you have government rates and the BDC rates? So, and again, what is it that made dollar to go up of recent? Is it not because of policies of government?
And
whereby everybody now wants to, whereby there is now pressure on dollar.
Let's look at the dollarization of the economy, really. Talking about, I felt you were getting to the point where you're going to talk to us about, the dollarization of the process. Like, why do we have to carry out these activities in dollars?
That is where I'm going. That is where I'm going before he threw in another question. All right? Now, this fuel is already in Nigeria, within the Nigerian soil. What is our legal tender?
Naira.
Who is supposed to ensure that our legal tender is well maintained? The strength of our legal tender is maintained. Is it not the government? It's the government. Now, if the government, through NNPC, is now charging dollars, what do you expect? Just like there was a time I ran a one-man riot as regards buildings in this Lagos charging dollars. Buildings charging dollars. Is that normal? Can you go to America and be charging people in naira?
Or pounds.
Or pounds? Can you? You can't. Even if you want to buy naira, if you want to change your dollar to naira at their airport or wherever in America, or in UK, you can still get some because you have a cluster of Nigerians somewhere in Peckham, Southeast, and all that. Do you understand? But in America, we hardly find naira, except you have a friend who brought in naira, and then maybe now looking for somebody going to Nigeria that he or she can give. So is it not idiocy of government to be charging your citizens in dollars, and then you are crying to the people that it's because we are not manufacturing, it's because we are not doing this.
Maybe government probably put that policy in place so they can earn more foreign exchange. The government is working to.
Do you earn foreign exchange from your citizens? You have to do some other things outside the country to be able to earn your foreign exchange. And as a matter of fact, it is even government that is allowing this pressure to be on on dollars. Because if you add no pressure on dollar,
okay, on
no
dollar,
naira,
okay.
because it's pressure on dollar that is making it to go up.
Go up. I understand.
If you had been proactive enough, if you had been wise enough, if you had been upholding the constitution of Nigeria that you swore to, this situation would have been like this, because you will have ensured that our refineries are working. You will have ensured that aside from those 4 refineries, that the population of Nigeria is growing. Then you provide more enabling environment for a sustainable and meaningful living standard by also building other modular refineries to supplement these other refineries that have been existing from only God knows. So these are issues. The government, the blame of this thing is still on the government.
What's the role of the banks in all of this? And I'm asking because according to IPMAN's president Okoronkwo, he's saying that they are meant to get the product at 148 naira per liter at the tank farm, but because they can't even get dollars in the market, they have to go through the parallel market, and we know how saturated that is in terms of the black market as well. So that definitely does not correspond when it comes to the cost and the profit margin and all of that. So they are purchasing for like between 200 and 215 as at now, and that explains the reason they are selling at the price they are selling now. So for that deficiency in terms of not having enough foreign currencies in our banks and what have you, where's the role of the bank? Because there are those who have also fingered the banks as being culpable in all of these forex crises we have. Why should your BDCs, Bureau de Change, would have more foreign currencies than the banks? How do they get it if not from the banks? So what's the role of the banks in all of this as well?
I will die your cowardly. Remove that your tie that you are supposed to use, and I put it in my pocket.
Okay.
And you cannot get tie to use without your knowledge, without your approval. There's no way. Those BDC operators, have they gone to CBN to go and steal the dollars?
CBN has even stopped.
They've stopped giving them.
CBN said they should not even spend the new naira to be spraying at parties. Where are those people still getting it? So where are they still getting it? Who has arrested anybody? So the issue is this. Are you also aware? I don't know how much you read about the allegation against Fintiri that bought people's was it bank PHB or so?
Yes.
As regards the dollar that when he wanted to make, so when somebody somewhere was planning to become the CBN governor, he said, okay, don't worry, I'll help you to talk to the Kiriko. Okay, because before I help you to talk to this, let me have this, because I want to buy this. Because I don't know what conference and Kola now. That is, there is nobody who doesn't know how to put meat inside the mouth, and that meat will disappear. The meat will disappear, and that is what we are seeing in this country. All right, when it comes to this dollar being sent to the banks and then the BDCs,
yeah.
Nigeria is full of fraudulent people. Everybody is looking for fraud here and there.
So whose job is it to ensure there is sanity in the process?
It's the CBN.
So why isn't that happening? Or is it that it's not happening enough?
It is not happening. It is not happening because, yes, nobody will say Emefiele is not capacious enough to head the CBN. But when he got there, he changed his attitude. Attitudinal change from positive to negativity. Negativity in terms of you are supposed to be the custodian of our monetary policies and ensure that things goes on accordingly. But you got there, you left that, you were pursuing shadow.
By shadow, you mean?
Shadow in terms of wanting to become the president of Nigeria. And to that extent, he couldn't perform.
Why is the CBN failing to go after the banks? I mean, if
is that not true? If you are sorry, sir, if you are here, you are supposed to be a presenter, nothing more.
Well, when
the moment you are now adding, you want to buy and sell. Instead of you to talk about daily times, you'll be talking about what's the name of this place close to Abulegba, where they normally buy
So where
they normally sell Akube.
Super.
After that place, what's the name of that market? Katangwa. Instead of you talking about political, you'll be talking about what's happening in Katangwa.
Talking about CBN governor, you were saying something that it's the custodian of the monetary policy. I want to say that, to be fair to the CBN governor, we've had the R200 program that's for non-oil exportation to increase foreign exchange earning for Nigeria.
How effective has it been? How effective has it been? Well, I'm not talking about...
Now look at some of the monetary policies.
Talk is cheap. Did he follow it up? No, did he follow it up? What are the structures he put on ground to ensure that? If he had put structures on ground to ensure that, we will be talking what we are talking about now. And that's what I said. That's what I said initially. There are some monetary policies that works out there. In the book, you see these things working. But when it comes out here,
I mean, there's also that part, the fiscal policy part, where we probably need to begin to blame the Minister of Finance and then the Minister of Trade and all of that.
Listen. Chino Achebe said, things fall apart. The center will never hold. Before now, we have never seen or heard of discordant views between CBN governor and Minister of Finance. We have never had it in this country until recently. You are aware now that it has happened here, especially when
Naira was some other policies she didn't know about,
and some other things that she didn't know about. And this is, do you call it public service now, or public whatever, that is supposed to be responsible to that ministry? All right. Have you also ever heard whereby the Attorney General, Accountant General of the Federation, who is supposed to be in charge of safety of our money, stealing our money away to that extent? Have you ever heard about it? And that's why I now said, Chino Achebe, may his soul rest in peace, said, things fall apart. The center will never hold. This government had shown the people that yes, the party was hurriedly put together, not for anything, but to just hijack government. But what to do with that government, they didn't know. And that's why, in the first instance, they couldn't put the executive together until after about
6 months.
6 or thereabout months. And that's why even after putting the executive together, they went on a retreat, and one came back. This our brother that talks came back. He said, I don't even know what they do in the ministry.
I guess.
Alesco, but that Alesco, I didn't want to mention his name before. So he doesn't know what they do in his ministry. I mean, is that not ridiculous? Is that not ridiculous? Even after you had gone for a retreat, okay, what are you supposed to do at that retreat? Is it not to get yourself acclimatized with the ministry you are going to? And even if you don't, were you at that level supposed to say it? And that is the price we are paying for not listening to some of us that were talking there. But look, before you leap, you have to look. But unfortunately, we were looking for change. We didn't define the kind of change we were looking for.
Let's look at it this way now, back home. The issue of, the Forex crisis and all, when the CBN decides to redesign the Naira, the premise, they give several reasons quite all right, but the premise was that they needed to mop up liquidity because you had over 80% of, monies outside the system.
I asked them question. The money, is it supposed to be in the bank vaults or to be circulating among the people?
Well, again,
I asked that question.
That would even delve into the functionality of money in terms of transactional and the rest of them. But let's bring it back using that same premise of theirs into the Forex crisis. If CBN said they redesigned Naira because they wanted to bring monies back into the system, why should BDCs have more foreign currencies than our banks, our financial institutions, in that sense? That those who have said, some financial or economic pundits have argued that banks should have more of these currencies so that the average Nigerian can walk up to the various banks and transact rather than go through the BDCs who definitely have their own prices and all. So
I hope
the question will be, in dealing with this issue of Forex crisis, which is one of the things the IPMAN is talking about, that's the marketers now, that they have to sort from the parallel markets because they can't even get within the banks.
I hope you won't call Minister Analogy. No, I'll give an analogy to that.
Wait. So 2 questions in one. One, why is the CBN not going after these banks? Because if the banks are the ones in charge directly and they now claim they do not have these foreign exchanges, but the BDCs have, it means that the BDCs, one way or the other, are getting supply from the bank.
Okay, let me also put it here. There's also the issue of round tripping, where sometimes it may not just be the banks, it could be even the manufacturers, it could be the supposed importers and exporters that get these monies, and then they sell to the BDCs, they have their own court, and the cycle goes on and on.
But they would not also get directly as well. They will also have to get from the bank.
Yes, they get from the bank.
Exactly.
They say this is what they want to do with the money. They get it because there is a window for them. But instead of utilizing it for that purpose, they end up round tripping, arbitrage and all of that. So how do we address this? That's what he's talking about. How do we address it?
Now, to answer the first part, why do we have the BDCs having more of our foreign currencies than the banks? I also ask you, why do we also have all these POS operating perfectly and the ATM at the banks are not working? Go to all those ATM galleries. They say they now write ATM gallery. 8 will be there. 8 machines will be there. Only 1 will be dispensing. But go across that same bank to POS that have lined the whole place. You see all those POS machines working. So also why? If you can know why of that, then we also know why of this.
The answer might be different.
But it's the same thing. It's like supposing, I'm saying supposing, or we assume that those that are working in those banks owns those owns those POS machines. They get their cut. I'm saying supposing. I'm not saying that is the situation. Although some people are saying that is the situation. All right? So also, go to all those BDCs. There is no way you will not link them to officials of CBN. Go to some of these banks, even some of these banks, commercial banks, you will see that they have, how do I put it now, a dedicated BDC that they use.
Yeah.
Go there. I've experienced it. They will just call. How much is this in now? Even some stays are residents within the premises of
like what you get, you see their last sites even from.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So what are you talking about? Those ones, if you want to put round tripping on businessmen, importers, manufacturers. I want to disagree with you a little bit.
So that happens. I mean,
Even though, listen, even though before they could get that, they would have sweated their ass out. And probably what they are trying to buy had increased. And the money they now have cannot purchase what they can purchase to be able to give them the profit. So the easiest way will be, okay, let me change it. I pay you your own money. Maybe at least I could get little profit. So whose fault? It's still the system, which is being controlled by the government. Do you understand? So it's a pity that yes, like I was discussing with some guys, I think two or three evenings ago, people deserve the kind of government they have. People deserve the kind of government they have. Because the moment you are supposed to put a round peg in a right hole and you are not doing that based on primordial and pecuniary gains, primordial thinking and pecuniary gains, you can get it right. You can get it right. Again, our middle class, they are sleeping. The middle class are sleeping. They need to wake up.
Is there really a middle class?
Is ASU not middle class? Is NLC not middle class? Is all these, how do I put it now? Civil liberty organizations not middle class? What are they doing to the situation in the country now? What are they doing?
All right, in closing, now let's close this particular segment. Now, in closing, how do you think this problem will be solved? We've highlighted two issues. You know, we talked about dollarization, and we also talked about, you know, fine, from dollarization we have the scarcity of foreign exchange, which of course is also affecting the distribution of petroleum products.
I think on this same platform, we were discussing Dangote sometimes ago that the first of all, the second quarter of 2022. It starts, and by then there will be no problem again. Later change to third quarter.
Later fourth.
Later fourth.
No.
Do you see? Is there anything like fifth quarter? Maybe we should wait for fifth quarter.
First quarter 2023.
Not until number one, when people stop or change their level of agitation to participation in the electoral process, we can't get it right. That's one. Two, not until when people decide to hold the bull by the horn themselves and effect the kind of change that we want in terms of sustainable and meaningful standard of living, we can't get to anywhere. But when I'm talking of sustainable, meaningful standard of living, you know, it has branches in terms of, yes, I must not wake up one day and then find out that there is no more fuel. I must not wake up one day and then there is no light. I must not wake up one day and then the whole roads are bad. I must not wake up one day and not be able to have good health facility, or children cannot get good schools to attend, or not being able, or your salary being reduced, your how do I put it, your real income being reduced by unnecessary inflation being inflicted on the people because of some other people's selfishness. So people must in those days, for goodness sake, we can't be like this and then we be in a kind of graveyard silence. It is graveyard silence that we are. Things are not normal.
All right, I think this is a good place to end the conversation.
Things are not normal.
Thank you so much, Dr. D. Well, we'll take a break now. When we come back, I will delve into something that's also as important. Stay with us.